Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Living in the Limelight, an Anton Scholl and Friends podcast where we discuss music from the artist and fan perspective. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to another episode of Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Anton Scholl, and today with me is our very special guest, Michael Thomas Beck from Escape the Hive. How are you today?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today. Got a lot to discuss, a lot to go over, and I just want to kind of start from the beginning. I do want to talk about your studio. I do want to talk about just you in general, and I want to start with that. I want to talk about you as a person first, and then we're going to go into the band. So, are you initially from Arizona? You're in Arizona now, right? But you're not initially from Arizona, are you?
No, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Nebraska, actually.
Oh,
Nebraska,
okay.
Iowa. But
Right.
I've been
Okay.
in Arizona 94.
Oh, since '94. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I'm from Chicago myself, so we have that Midwest thing in common. That's good. Music scene a little different from Iowa.
Yes and no. I mean, obviously it's a lot bigger. There's a lot more people, but everybody hates their own scene. So, grass is always green.
Right.
But yeah, the music scene here has always been at least fairly good. That's why I moved here out of the Midwest. So it's not too bad. There's always a lot going on.
So what started you out? When was Michael turned on to music and knowing that this is what I want to do? I want to front a band.
Well, those are two different questions. I mean, when I was turned on to music, I mean, I don't remember a time when I wasn't. I mean, we can go way back early 70s is when early 70s, mid 70s radio is where I looked at music and went, oh, I like this. This is cool. Probably mid 70s, I'm probably like most guys my age. Kiss was a huge influence, and I saw them and went, oh yeah, I want to do that. So it's been, but I got pretty serious about it in high school. That was my first band. I went on the road literally right after I graduated with my first band. Had several record deals between then and now. And brings us up to Escape the Hive. And we got a new record that came out in September. Vinyl just came out, and I'm as excited as I could be.
Well, let's talk about that for a bit then. I just put on there that the new album is available. So let's talk about the name first, because obviously Escape the Hive, and then of course this is going to sting. So, talk about the name of the group first.
Well, the name came from, just breaking free of constraints. I mean, it Escape the Hive kind of says what rock and roll is. It means getting out of the norm, not doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, not conforming to what's around you unless you want to. That's kind of where Escape the Hive came, and it just really fit all of us, who we are, what we do, what we want to do, and how we want to do it. So I got to tell you, it took a while to come up with a band name because they're all taken. So
That's true. Yeah. So now, when you talk about all of us, and all of you guys seem to be this really cool kind of cohesive unit, but from my understanding, you actually started out writing songs with your bass player. Is that correct? You and your bass player got together first and started writing songs.
True.
That's kind of unusual. The usual thing is, guitar, singer get together. How did that work as far as writing the songs, in the beginning?
Well, I've known Paul for a long time. Paul Williams is our bass player. Um, I have it is a bit unusual, but it's not really that unusual for me. Um, I'm a guy as a singer. I always um, I always have gravitated toward the bass. Um, I play bass. I play a little guitar too, but bass is where the foundation for me is. If we're on stage, I don't care if I can hear the guitar player or not. It doesn't matter to me. As long as I can hear the bass player in the back of my knees, I'm in good shape. And I've always looked at it in the way that if I can hear the bass and I know he's a good bass player, and I have a good reputation for not playing with anything but, and if he's a good player, he's locked in with the drummer. So if I follow the bass, I'm in groove. The melody is the guitar stuff, and those guys are crazy. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't.
yeah.
I just do their.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the first thing that I listen to because I am a bass player normally. I'm a lead singer, but I also play bass, and that's the kind of thing I listen to. I love the vibe between bass players and drummers, the way that they achieve
Yeah.
that, and you guys certainly did that. Especially on one of the songs was called "Roll the Dice" that you have on your
Ah,
album. Uh,
yeah.
and it starts out with the drums, hits that cool, beat in there. Bass player coming in. I mean, that really stuck out to me. But we'll talk about the songs. But let's go into the other people then, because after Paul, then you got a keyboard player. Michael became your keyboard player. So adding
Yeah. Well,
keyboard, you wanted a vibe. You wanted that '70s music vibe, right?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And
We're
about
the
the
same.
same time we got. Well, I've known our drummer AD for a long, long time. He's always been a guy that I've wanted to do a record with. I've actually recorded him. He was first time I met him. He was the drummer for on Pete Lauren from Trickster. He was doing drums for his solo record. So that's the first time I met AD, and that was way back, 99, 2000, somewhere in there. So I've known ADB for a bit. I knew I wanted him as a drummer. I always have since then. And the planets just kind of lined up and it worked out. So with him and Paul, the foundation was where I wanted it to be. We yeah, and you can't really have a 70s style rock band without a keyboard player. So yeah, that's where Mike Vars came in, and it's it's like you said, it's a very cohesive unit. It's been great.
And then on top of it, you could have brought in any guitar player to jump in and try to do this, but wow, you kind of knocked it out of the park when you got your guitar player. So let's talk about that because obviously when you're looking at Alice Cooper and stuff. So let's talk about your guitar player. Go ahead.
Yeah, Conrad is also somebody I've known for a little while. And I've said this before. I hate to name drop when I'm when I'm bringing him into the fold, but I actually met him through Alice Cooper. So
Mhm.
that's a good start. Um, they Alice does a thing that I've been involved with for a long time called Proof is in the Pudding here in the Phoenix area, and it's kind of a battle of the band type thing. And Conrad won it. Um, you know, I don't know how many years ago, several years ago, but that was where I was first introduced to him. And he's a younger guy than all of us, but he's just got this old soul and this old way of playing like he just walked out in 1982. I mean, literally yesterday. That's how he plays, that's how he thinks. um, if I mention guitar players and bands from the 80s, he knows exactly who I'm talking about. So he really fits in the fold. And I've been fortunate in my career with playing with some pretty good guitar players, you know, Jakey Lee, and I mean, I've been pretty fortunate. So I wanted a guitar player that could fill that footprint. I wanted a guitar player that could be comfortable in those shoes and still have some things to show. And that's Conrad. Conrad is a beast.
Yeah. And in general, too, when I listen to the songs, you don't just hear the songs, you feel them. And that's what's important. You know, for somebody to feel the music, the feeling in the guitar. They always talk about, someone like, let's say, David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, you listen to that, but you feel it. You feel the feelings that are going on, I'm playing on guitar and all of the instruments. And that's really what this album kind of puts together, is really a feeling in those songs. So wanted to talk about the songwriting. How does a song come up? And you can choose any of the ones on there that if you want, but how does a song happen in Escape the Hive?
Well, they're usually kind of along the same pattern. It's usually Paul and I start. Once it's kind of shown to the rest of the group, especially Conrad, he does his part and kind of morphs in what he's doing. And sometimes it's Conrad's song that has started. We've already started. In fact, we're playing 2 or 3 new songs that will be on the next record live. And Conrad has a much bigger part of those. But then, kind of hard, and we always laugh about this, kind of the secret weapon is AD, because once you figure out, where the structure is and how you think the song is going to go, once AD starts playing it, it's not the same song. It's got a different feel. He just does that. He can play the same, drum line as on a cover as what you're playing with another cat, and it just sounds different. He's just got a swing. So AD is usually the guy that turns something on its head. That's usually the way it works. And then Mike comes in and rounds it out. I usually start when those guys have kind of got a riff going. It will remind me of something either that I already have lyrically, because I've got a pretty good book of songs already as a backlog, but it'll remind me of something that I'm working on or that I have worked on, or sometimes it just comes off the cuff and we start there. But I do all the lyric and melody, and that's kind of where that starts.
Mm-hmm. And then, so as a band, is there a single person that may come in and say, all right, wait a minute, let's add another chorus here, or let's put the bridge here, or let's do verse, and then chorus? Is there somebody who's more of the structural person who does the song?
It's really all of us. It's really a uniformed effort. It's not one of us. The rule is if you bring the song in, it's kind of your baby. You get right of first refusal. So that's kind of where it starts. But there's also, I got to tell you, this band in particular has been such a pleasure to work with. I've been lucky with bands in the past, but this one is kind of something special. All the guys are really good people, and it doesn't always happen all the time. Sometimes you get, a really talented guy that's a little bit nuts, and you got to balance between the ability and the crazy, and walk that fence. And fortunately, there really isn't anybody in this band that's like that, or at least we're all on the same page as far as walking the fence. So there's a lot of ego involved. There's not a lot of I want to do this, I want to do that. It's always kind of what serves the song best, and that's where everybody's mindset is, and that holds over from songwriting to being on the road to sitting in a van doing nothing. So I'm pretty fortunate in that respect.
Oh, definitely sounds like you had a great band behind you. I tell you, one of the things that I usually ask either lead singers or people in a band is like, if you had the ultimate band behind you, who would it be? But it sounds like you've already got that. So kudos to you for really, getting that
Yeah,
background and having those
I,
people.
I thank you, and I appreciate that. I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's guys that, again, I've been really lucky in who I've been able to stand in front of and sing, and most of the bands I've been in, most of the project I've been involved with, have all been with some really talented guys, and so that's what makes this band that much better is they're that level of talent and good people, and that's just the best combination.
Also, now let's move into the recording part. You have the album. Show the album real quick. You have that sitting next to you? There it is. Now, obviously, when a lot of people are putting out music right now, they're not even putting out CDs or any physical part of the music because of streaming. So
Yeah.
what made you decide, of course I would think, okay, 70s vibe, the type of feel, got to be on an LP. Is that really what was kind of the whole motive of going and putting out the physical copies?
If and you're right that a lot of that is true. It's definitely a 70s vibe thing. About everything we do has kind of got that vibe to it. But I wanted to, as a sound engineer, that's kind of my day job. I wanted this record on vinyl. It was mixed to do that. The songs were made to do that. I love the CD. I love hearing it on streaming, but hearing it on vinyl is a different thing. It sounds, it's not night and day, but there is a difference, and it's audible. It's just bigger, it's fatter, it's warmer. It, folds in the sides instead of, being like this. So it's like that.
Yeah.
And the first time I put it on, I was really blown away. It was cool.
Yeah.
It's
And where did you? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, it sounds the way it does when I'm sitting in my studio.
Oh yeah. And did you record this at your studio?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Okay. Wow. So that's again another luxury that a lot of bands do not have. So that's great. Now tell me about that. You have a studio, so the recording, you handled all of that part. Did you produce the album, or did somebody else produce it?
Well, let me say this, because most times producing your own record is really the kiss of death. It really is, because you have there's nobody to make decisions for you. There's nobody to take the lead and go, this is how it's going to go. So because I do that on a daily basis, and that's kind of my day job, I made sure that I switched hats a lot and that I stayed as a producer until the vocals were ready, and then I stayed out of it altogether. But at the same time, all the other guys are pretty adept at the recording business. They've all done records where they've produced it or been heavily involved in that side of it. So me leaning on them was a huge part of it, because I don't trust myself to make a decision, and I really don't want to. This is a band. So that's again where having good people around you is such an absolute godsend, because I know that if AD starts talking about a part, he's talking about it because of the song. He's not talking about it because he has an agenda on the drum part. That's just the way the whole band works. And it's just so refreshing. I don't, you get in a band and you get, if there's 5 guys, 3 of them are usually cool and 2 of them are, or,
Right.
3 of them are cool and 1 of them is dictating how you're supposed to feel the most of the time. And that's really just not the case. So it was a lot easier to do that sort of thing on this record because of the people around me.
Right. Yeah. And okay, now before we get into the recording studio itself, where can people get it? I know that you have like websites, you have certain sites where you can go and get the album or the CD. Where, let everybody know where they can pick it up.
Well, so we're on Vanity Music Group and Shock Records. It's distributed through Sony. So the CD should be in most of your local record stores, wherever you want to go. Um, the CD should be there. If it's not, ask for it. They can order it, but it should be on the shelf, which is pretty cool. um, the vinyl right now is only available directly through us, so you can go to our Facebook page and go through our Linktree site. Our Linktree has all everything, links to everything, including how to order the vinyl directly. So you can do that, and it comes direct to your door. And probably sometime here in mid-February. I haven't got an exact date, but the vinyl will be distributed as well. So it'll be through Vanity Music Group and should be available in most stores along with the CD.
Oh, great. Now, are you guys looking at doing any appearances, meet and greets, autograph signing, album signing, things of that nature coming up?
Yeah, we just did there's a store here in Phoenix called Asylum Records, and we just did it was really cool, this kind of little acoustic-y in-store vibe that we did to celebrate the release of the vinyl. And if you look up Asylum Records, they do have they're the only store in the nation right now that has the vinyl. In fact, they have signed copies, so you can go to Asylum Records and get it from them as well. But we did an in-store there. We're constantly touring. We just did some dates in the first part of November. One at the Whiskey Go Go. We have another one coming up here February 3rd. I don't know if this will air before that, but it's February 3rd in Tucson it's called The Gathering. It's a Desert Fest too. So it's 3rd and 4th, a whole bunch of bands at a really cool club with multiple stages called House of Bards. And that's up in Tucson, and you can get tickets to that through our Linktree. Then after that, we're going to be, earlier this, I guess last year, end of last year, we kind of did a trek through my old stomping ground through the Midwest, and we're going to do that again this spring. I know we'll probably do some Texas dates on the way up there. So yeah, we'll be on tour for sure a lot this year. That's the plan.
You guys are busy, and it sounds like you also have a couple of songs that are getting ready for the next album. So you're stoked about that.
Yeah, and we've got it's a problem, but it's a great problem in that those right now it's 2, and we'll probably have 1 or 2 more that we'll add to the set as time goes on, that are not on the record and brand new, and they're really cool. They're really cool. It's kind of I can't wait for those to come out, and the reaction from the crowd on those has always been really good. So we're kind of in a unique problem here where the new material is going over really well, but we're trying to sell the record we got out now.
Right. Exactly. Well, and also, just so everybody knows too, these are not just available by CD or album. It is on all streaming sites also, so you can certainly pick that up if you're looking at streaming sites and you're more of a streamer than physical. You can certainly look them up on all the streaming sites. It is available.
Both.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the studio. Can the average person just come in and say, "Hey, I need you. I'd love for you to record me"?
Well, they can, but the product might not be what the average person doesn't want to come in and record. We're musicians. We're all nuts to some degree. But it's art. That's kind of been lost unfortunately, on this generation of musicians. I see it now and then, and thankfully still do. There's some bands that I've just recorded recently that are, have that old school eye, but most musicians or most people in this day and age don't really revere music as art. They revere it as a commodity, and that's not what it is. It's not. It is something to be sold. It is something to be given. It's not. It shouldn't be free. But at the same time, it's art. It's art. That's it. There's a lot of artistic decision that goes into every song, every record, and you in this day and age, music as art has kind of been lost, and that's unfortunate.
Very true, very true. And now, then, what do you offer when somebody comes in? Like, you have a couple of bands that are in there now, I believe, that are doing some recording. Like, all of these people that I talk to, a lot of them, they say, "Oh, I just have my own recording little studio at home." I mean, I even have my own here, but the difference between the sound and what you can offer as a person to the bands to say, "Hey, here's my perspective on it. This is what I think you should do." Isn't that's got to be one of the biggest things that a lot of bands don't realize is anybody could record from home, but you offer that extra that I think is a huge boost that people just are not seeing anymore.
Well, it's there's an old saying that say it's not the gear, it's the ear. um, and both are true. The difference is that when you're making, well, several differences. The first is that if, again, making a record, record companies nowadays, major label and larger independents, have slashed budgets just left and right, through and through. I mean, it just isn't the way it used to be. But most label releases are still with a producer. So that kind of tells you something on how important they think it is, because if they didn't have to pay for it, trust me, they wouldn't. And it's an outside opinion that really just guides the session and guides you through the song, brings out the best parts of the song, brings out the best parts of the band to showcase. And that's what making a record is all about. And whether you come in and do one song or two songs, I just consider that the first part of your record. That's the way I look at it. We're putting together a sound. I want you to have to go back to the recordings and listen to them to perfect it, to do your live show, because it's not just about a guitar sound, a bass sound, a drum sound, where you put the vocals. It's all those things put together, and you should leave the studio a different band and a more cohesive band because of that process. And that's kind of what a producer does. Again, I'm fortunate. I've been doing this for a long time. The studio that I own, Sound Vision Recording, has been open since '99. So we've been doing this for a while. This is all I do. I don't sell real estate during the day or work at 7-Eleven at night. This is what I do if I'm not on the road with Escape the Hive. This is the day job. So I take it pretty seriously. It's my career. I've done it for a long time. And bands that come to me are kind of the same. They want this as a career. They want it a step above. They want to be able to showcase their music without having any explanations, because you normally don't get them. So that's kind of what we do here, and what if I'm good at anything, that's what I'm good at, is pulling a band sound together to make them a better band.
Yeah. Now, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to record in your studio?
There's soundvisionrecording.com is the website. You can get all the information through there, whether it be text or phone or email. You can also go to the Sound Vision page on Facebook, or just look me up on Facebook, Michael Beck. But yeah, come on in. We'll give it a go.
Great. Well, I do appreciate you taking the time. I'm going to run out myself to Asylum and see if I can get one of those autographed LPs. That's really what I want. I do want an autographed LP. I have a little album connection.
Scott over at Asylum has been a huge supporter of us, continues to be, and so that's why we kind of wanted to do that initially with him before it went out to the rest of the country. Is he's been really good to us. So definitely go in there and talk to Scott and tell him we said hello.
Very good. Will do. All right. I appreciate you taking the time out on this. And again, good luck. It looks like the album is going great. And Escape the Hive, obviously getting out there and doing some touring. So, if anybody hears or sees them, please do so. Great band, great vibe. I love that type of 70s myself. I'm into that type of music. And my music also kind of reflects that. I think I brought back like the guitar solo. I'm so sick of not hearing guitar solos that I had to put songs out there that didn't. But by the same token, I need a real studio and a producer that may be able to do my songs. So we may be talking again very soon. So I appreciate you taking the time. Michael, thank you so much. And everybody, please tune in to all the podcasts, subscribe, like, share, anything that we can to get the podcasts out there for these musicians. Again, it's Living in the Limelight. I'm your host, Anton Scholl. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for what you do, man. We really appreciate it.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining our Living in the Limelight podcast with your host, Anton Scholl. Please feel free to comment, like, follow, share, and subscribe, and also add us to your playlist on your favorite streaming sites. Thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week.